Imagine waking up one morning and the world feels different. It's not something you can point a finger at, but a visceral sensation, as if the air itself is charged with hidden meaning. The colors seem brighter, but also more threatening. People on the street look at you a second longer than normal, and suddenly, that casual glance becomes a signal, a message. For you, today, you're not just going to understand schizophrenia. You are embarking on a journey to the frontiers of human perception, where reality shatters and the self fragments. I promise you that after these minutes, your concept of madness will have changed forever. This is the anteroom of psychosis, the gateway to a territory psychiatry defines as schizophrenia. But reducing it to a medical diagnosis is like describing a hurricane as wind and rain. You lose the climactic essence. To understand it, we must enter the mind. Visualize your brain as the most complex operations center in the universe. Billions of neurons communicate in a perfect symphony, filtering, interpreting, and making sense of a constant bombardment of sensory data. Schizophrenia is what happens when this symphony turns into a thunderous chaos. The violins play a terrifying melody only you can hear. The brass section shouts contradictory orders. The conductor has disappeared. Let's go deeper. Let's take an ordinary day. For most, the sound of the refrigerator is background noise. For someone in the midst of a psychotic episode, that hum can transform into a sly voice, narrating their every move with contempt. The news on television is no longer about distant events. It is a personal code, a direct transmission from a higher intelligence observing them. This is not a metaphor. It is the literal and terrifying experience of living with auditory hallucinations and paranoid delusions. The person doesn't believe they are being followed. They know it with the same certainty you know the sun will rise in the morning. The disease, however, is treacherously biphasic. On one hand, there are the positive symptoms, the additions to reality. Hallucinations, auditory, are the most common, but also visual, tactile, or olfactory, and delusions of persecution, of grandeur, of reference. But there is an even more insidious and often ignored facet, the negative symptoms. They are not the absence of illness, but the absence of normal functions. It is the slow extinguishing of the person. Their vital energy drains away like water through fingers. The motivation to shower, to eat, to talk to a friend vanishes. Emotional expression flattens. The voice becomes a monotone, the face a mask. The family often suffers more from this, wondering, where is the person we knew? They are there, trapped inside a glass wall, seeing the world but unable to feel it or interact with it. And this brings us to the heart of the uncomfortable debate, the truth society prefers to ignore. We have been sold a dangerous narrative, fueled by sensationalist cinema and press headlines, the inexorable link between schizophrenia and violence. But the science is clear and compelling. People with schizophrenia are significantly more likely to be victims of violence than perpetrators. The real danger is not the suffering person, but the stigma that we, as a society, build around them. By using the word schizophrenic as an insult to describe erratic behavior, by looking away on the subway, by denying job opportunities, we are signing a sentence of isolation. We become the jailers of those already imprisoned in their own minds. The controversial question is, who is truly more dangerous to someone with schizophrenia? The illness itself, or our collective rejection? But let me take you beyond the problem, towards the light of the solution. Recovery is not an impossible dream. It is an arduous mountain, yes, but scalable. The first handhold is antipsychotic medication. It is not a happy pill. It is a chemical stabilizer that helps calm the brain's storm, to turn down the volume of the voices and blur the conviction of the delusions. The second handhold is specialized psychotherapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy for psychosis, which trains the person to challenge the credibility of their voices, to recognize distorted thought patterns, and to reconnect with the real world. And the third handhold, The most human and often the most decisive is psychosocial support, a stable home, an occupational therapist who helps rebuild routines, a support group where they feel no judgment, a friend who calls them to go for a coffee, unafraid. Medication can return the silence, but it is love and understanding that return the reason to live in that silence. If this journey into the depths of consciousness has resonated with you, if it has ignited a spark of compassion or curiosity, then what you do next matters. Hit like on this video not just to support our channel, but as a public vote in favor of mental health without stigma. Subscribe because we have many more stories to tell you, from the secrets of bipolar disorder to social anxiety, always with rigor and heart. And now, I ask you something crucial. Comment, tell us, what impacted you the most about this explanation? Do you think our society is ready to embrace, rather than fear, people with mental disorders? Or simply write, "Now I understand," if this content has achieved its goal. Your voice is the essential link for this message of empathy to become a collective cry. The mental health revolution begins with a conversation. And this is ours.